Welcome, Vault Dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness, and we're taking a look at some in-game footage of the Goodsprings General Store. Across the street from the store in the real world is a dirt parking lot. In-game, there's really nothing there. It just kind of moves into people's personal property. Now, I'm taking a run around the outside of the general store here because I want to illustrate how different the exterior is in-game compared to the real world. And we'll get into that comparison a little bit more when we start looking at the photographs. But aside from the store front itself, the actual outside of the store is quite different in the real world. However, once we move inside, we will see that the real world and in-game locations are passably similar. The countertop is in a different location in-game. Chet must have rearranged the furniture a little bit, but otherwise the interior of the real store is in fact just a retail space with a countertop in a different spot. This back room is not accessible to the public in the real world. However, I believe that this has been turned into a walk-in freezer in support of the Pioneer Saloon next door. More on that in a moment. One thing that we're going to notice when we start looking at the real world photographs is the name of the store itself has changed over time. This picture is from 2015, and you can see that at that time it was called the Goodsprings General Store. You can also maybe just make out the building to the left and the trees that are planted in front of it, and the structure to the right. It was an outdoor patio for the Pioneer Saloon that has since been removed, and there's now a newer patio around back. So when we look at a more recent photograph, we'll see the name of the Goodsprings General Store has been changed to the Ghost Town Cafe. At some point, the ownership of the Pioneer Saloon, I guess, has bought the general store, and now both businesses have been combined into a larger entity. And indeed, during COVID, you were not able to go in the Pioneer Saloon at all because of lockdown rules. You were still able to eat outside on their patio, but now, after COVID, you still can't go in through the front door of the Pioneer Saloon. If you'd like to be seated anywhere in the saloon or on their outdoor patio areas, you need to check in through the Ghost Town Cafe. Earlier I mentioned this building to the left of the Ghost Town Cafe and how tall the trees were in comparison. In that earlier photo, they were barely to the bottom of the awning on the front porch, and now those trees are taller than this building. I thought that was just kind of telling just how long I've been coming to this particular location off and on. As for the interaction between the general store and the Pioneer Saloon, you can see that in the intervening years, the covering over the patio has been torn down in between the buildings, and they have cut a new doorway into what is the right side wall of the Ghost Town Cafe. And it is still a general store, although it mostly sells merchandise for the Pioneer Saloon. And as I said, the host for the Pioneer Saloon is in that building, and you can't go in the main doors for the Pioneer Saloon anymore. Stepping through the front door, we see the host station where you can check in to get your seat at the Pioneer Saloon. You can see that counter down the left side of the room. That's what I was talking about when I was saying that Chet must have rearranged the furniture, because in-game this countertop goes across the back. However, you can still make out just barely, the top of the door at the back there that is Chet's bedroom in game, and like I said, probably a walk-in freezer in the real world. Off to the right here, we have a cooler that unfortunately does not contain sarsaparilla. I looked it up and found out that sarsaparilla actually has ingredients that cause cancer, which is why it's banned in the real world and still okay in the Fallout universe. There's also a lot of Pioneer Saloon t-shirts and merch here, and in fact, my Pioneer Saloon t-shirt is one of my favorite souvenirs from my Fallout journeys. In fact, I just looked at it and realized I'm wearing it right now. As for this other view here, this is just some additional merch that is across the front wall by the entryway where you can come in and get some alcohol-related merch. For myself, this was one of my favorite places to visit for real-world locations in Fallout. In fact, it was one of the very first ones that I did on a trip to Las Vegas in the real world in 2015. And I had so much fun with that trip that I resolved that I would try to visit a lot of other real-world locations from other games, and those are definitely coming. So let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube things. Thanks for watching.